Hello friends, welcome to the first lecture on economy for Combined MPSC English medium batch. So today we'll be going live with the first lecture for this batch, Combined MPSC English medium. As you know, SuPrabha Academy, it specializes in delivering MPSC courses in English medium. So today for Group B, Group C exam, we'll be starting with economy. Economy is a very important aspect. As I told you in the last demo lectures, they are going to ask you economy in prelims as well as in mains. And one or two questions about economy, they can also pop up in the PSI interview. You have interview only for PSI. So economy becomes very important subject. Before we start with the actual topic today, one thing is that you need to know two aspects of economy. Questions will be based only on two aspects. One is your understanding of the concept. तुमचं conceptचं understanding किती चांगलं आहे. And second is factual data. Okay, तर क्लासमध्ये आता मी फॅक्च्युअल डेटा पण देईल, पण क्लासमध्ये शक्यतो जास्त भर आहे ना कन्सेप्च्युअल अंडरस्टँडिंगवर द्या. ओके, गो फॉर द कन्सेप्च्युअल अंडरस्टँडिंग ऑफ दिस टॉपिक. Okay, if the conceptual understanding is good, the factual data becomes easy to mug up. Okay, factual data becomes easy to mug up. So whenever I am explaining something, please pay minute attention to it. Okay, and once the explanation is over, once you grasp the topic, then you can definitely jump to the factual data. Okay, so today we'll start with economy, some of the basic concepts. Okay, the basic concepts of economy first is there are two types of economies. One is a capitalist economy, other is a socialist economy. What are these two types of economies? And India as such, Indiaची position काय ते आपण बघू. So two types of economies. At one end of the spectrum you have a capitalist economy, at one end of the spectrum you have a socialist economy. काय फरक आहे दोन्हीमध्ये? कॅपिटलिस्ट इकॉनॉमी जर का बघितली, कॅपिटलिस्ट इकॉनॉमी, तर कॅपिटलिस्ट इकॉनॉमीमध्ये इन कॅपिटलिस्ट इकॉनॉमी ऑल द मीन्स ऑफ प्रोडक्शन इट गोज only with the private players. The private players, they own all the means of production. Whatever is produced, whether it is goods or services, whatever is produced in the economy, it is produced by the private player. Government has no role in production. Anything, railways, airways, steel, cement, whatever, construction, whatever, even the buses which ply between the cities, the states, all the buses, okay, even these buses are owned by private players. So whatever goods and services are produced in the economy, they are produced by the private players. That is a typical definition of a capitalist economy. And then on the other hand, what is a socialist economy? It is very logical. Now, if capitalist, everything is owned by the private players, socialist madhe, in socialist economy, everything will be owned by the government. Each and every production is done by the government. Whatever you want to produce, whether it's goods or services, it's by the government. You want medical facilities, government hospitals. You want education, government colleges and schools. You want railways, government. You want airways, government. You want iron and steel, only government industries. So whatever is produced in the economy, it goes with the ownership is with the government. That is a socialist economy. And on the other hand, we have a capitalist economy where everything is owned, all the means of production are owned by the private players. So what are the characteristics of these? If you look at the capitalist economy first, this is based on private ownership of the means of production. Okay, and this operation of capitalist economy is for profit. This needs to be understood. Okay, this needs to be understood that whatever is produced in the capitalist economy, it is for profit. Okay, Reliance, they launched Jio. Why? Profit. Adani is entering into aviation sector. Why? Profit. Mahindra manufacturing cars. Why? Profit. So if a private player wants to establish something, that is basically only for profit, and it is very logical that if you establish a business, it has to sustain, it has to be profitable. So the whole and sole motive of a private player entering into business is profit. If you compare it with socialist economy, where government owns everything, the whole and sole motive of government is not profit, but for equitable distribution. Government wants to distribute everything to each and every person in the economy so that they get at least a minimum decent standard of living. For example, in socialist economy, you have state transport buses, wherein females in Maharashtra, the females, they have got half ticket. So why does the government do this? Because the government wants the females to be active, economically active in the society. They want more economic participation of females, and that's the reason they have given half tickets for females. The rate for ticket for females is half. So in a socialist economy, it is not for profit. Profit is not the whole and sole motive, but in a capitalist economy, definitely profit is the motive. This is one of the oldest economic systems. Now, if you recollect, even in ancient India, the king was governing. Okay, ancient times the king used to govern, and there were various guilds or organizations, okay, where merchants used to trade. So production even at that time was with private players. The administration and governance was only left with the king. So this is one of the oldest economic system. Okay, now the modern capitalist economy, it started during the mid 18th century. It has the following features: private property, capital accumulation, wage labor. This is very important, wage labor. In a capitalist economy, the owner is going to employ labor and provide wages to the labor. Okay, so there is wage labor over here. And yes, a private player will go for capital accumulation. Then you have voluntary exchange. Now this is one of the principal features of a capitalist economy. I have got a subscription of, let's say, VI. Okay, Vodafone Idea. Fine. Nobody has forced me to go for that subscription. I have voluntarily gone for VI. अगर मुझे VI पसंद नहीं है, if I don't want VI, I can immediately switch to Airtel. I can switch to Reliance. I can switch to BSNL. Okay, so there is a voluntary exchange. No one is going to force you. Socialist economy, you don't have any other option. If today it is only the government which is going for, let's say, buses, okay, state transport buses. If you have only this one means of transport, state transport buses, there is no voluntary exchange. You will have to accept what the government gives, because the government is delivering it to you at a cheaper rate, at a subsidized rate. Fine. So there is no voluntary exchange. You just accept what the government delivers in a socialist economy, but over here it is voluntary exchange. Then profit is the motive. We have already seen this point. Price mechanism and competitive markets. Now this has to be understood. In a capitalist economy, the price of a commodity, and this forms the base of economy, the price of a commodity is based on demand and supply. Okay. Anything you take in a capitalist economy, it is based on demand and supply. So, what do you have? Tata Nano. When it was launched, there was less demand. So, it was launched at a low price. But as and when the demand for Tata Nano car, it increased, the price started scaling up. 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 4 lakh, 5 lakh. Okay, that was the last quoted price of Tata Nano because the demand increase. So the price mechanism is totally based on demand and supply of that commodity when it is a capitalist economy. Socialist economy मध्ये ऐसा नहीं होता है. Okay, in socialist economy, the price mechanism is fixed by the government. It is the government which is going to deliver. The ticket, the railway ticket between this junction to that junction is so and so. Maharashtra government state transport bus tickets, it's fixed by the government. It will not fluctuate according to demand. Whether it's Diwali season or the Eid season or the Christmas season, heavy rush, even at that time, the state transport bus tickets will remain the same. But if you look at a private player who is plying the buses from this place to that place, during Diwali, when there is heavy rush, Ganpati season, when there is heavy rush, the price of the ticket, it increases like anything because the demand is high. Okay, so whenever it is owned by private, whenever you have private ownership of the means of production, the price of that product would be more based on demand and supply. Okay, but whenever it is a socialist economy where the government is delivering the product, the price will not fluctuate. The price will not fluctuate. Fine. Then, consumer is the king in a capitalist economy because you have voluntary exchange. No one is going to force you. So consumer is the king. If today I feel that okay, my VI phone is VI service provider, they are not giving me good service, I can immediately move to, there is number portability, I can immediately port my number to Airtel. So when I do this, the VI customer care will definitely call me, sir, हम आपको ये free देंगे, वो free देंगे. Why? Because they want to retain the customer. Okay, the customer is the king over here in a capitalist economy. That is not the case in the socialist economy. We have to accept whatever the government delivers. Fine. So consumer is the king. There is no government interference, and this is known as the laissez-faire state. Government will not ask Mahindra to produce how many Scorpios, or it will not direct anybody to produce any amount of vehicles or whatever product they are manufacturing in a private sector. Fine. Now I am also working in a private sector. This academy is a private sector. So government cannot dictate that, okay, you are going to conduct just one lecture in a day. No. I can produce n number of lectures, I can produce n number of notes, whatever I want. Okay, government cannot dictate, but it's a government college, government will definitely have the norms. Okay, fine, you are going to work for this many hours. Okay, you're going to produce only this much. That's all. Fine. So there is no government interference in a capitalist economy, that is known as laissez-faire. And yes, capitalist economy does promote self-interest. Meri Dubai ki shopping. Okay, all these things are promoted in a capitalist economy. So you earn money in a capitalist economy, you gain profit, and then you spend like anything. Okay, you accumulate wealth. So there is always self-interest in a capitalist economy. So this is a capitalist economy. On the other hand, you have the socialist economy, where there is democratic control of means of production. That means even if the government controls, the government is elected via democracy. So there is democratic control of the means of production, which may mean autonomous cooperatives or direct public ownership, wherein production is carried out by or directly for use. Production is not going to be there for profit, it is for direct consumption. So what will the government do? Suppose this is the class. Okay, this is a class, and this class is a country, and it's a socialist economy. So what will the government do? How many students are there? 50 students are there. So this economy has got 50 population size 50. Government will then produce only for consumption. So 50 people, what do they need? They will need something like 100 to 200 pairs of shirts. Okay, so 100 pieces of shirts, 200 pieces of shirts will be manufactured, and it will be distributed. Fine. What do they need? They need some 200 notebooks. So only 200 notebooks will be manufactured, and they will be distributed. So it is not for profit. It is for directly for use. The production is directly for use. So it has the following features: public or collective ownership, central planning. Since the government, there is one authority which is owning everything, it is controlling all the production. Okay, that authority will be always having a central planning of the economy. Fine, so that is rightly so. Look at China, still socialist. So there is a central high-handedness which is going to control everything over there. So there is central planning of the economy. Emphasis on equality and economic security. So government will try to provide to those who don't have something, or they are below poverty line, okay, or there is inequality. For example, there is gender inequality in India. So what does the government of Maharashtra do? Okay, in school education, free education for girls, state transport buses, half ticket. Okay, so this is practiced for equality and economic security, and the goal of socialism is class reduction, reduce the gap between haves and have-nots. See, in capitalism, what happens is that a basic understanding of capitalism is you have the largest slum of Asia in Mumbai, that is Dharavi. And within a radius of 5 to 10 kilometers itself, you have the costliest place to live in on earth, that is Ambani. Okay, so this is the stark reality of capitalism. Because in capitalism, a person will try to earn profit as much as possible. But in socialist economy, what will the government do? If government is owning everything, they will provide Ambani, okay, very well respectable house, and they will also try to uplift the poor from the Dharavi slums. Okay, so that is the goal of socialist economy, class reduction, Fine. So this was the basic concept of capitalism and socialism. Now, where does India stand? India is a mixed economy. Now you need to understand everything. Since independence, India was a mixed economy. Mixed economy in the sense we had private players as well as the government sector both coexisting. That is known as mixed economy. Okay, so you had Tata Steel. It was established before independence. Okay, and along with that, the Indian government also established its own iron and steel plants. So both coexisting, that is a mixed economy. But before 1991, okay, one thing you need to understand over here, before 1991, Mixed economy was more tilted towards socialism. So apart from few sectors where government needed private help, okay, most of the sectors were owned only by the government. For example, at that time there was only one telephone company, government company, which used to provide telephone connections. Okay, there was only one airways, the Indian Airlines, Maharaja, the Indian Airlines, okay, which was providing air traffic and all those things, the commuting means of airways to the government. So we were more tilted towards socialism. Today also we are a mixed economy. Okay, today also we are a mixed economy. Fine. Okay, you have Reliance Petroleum as well as you have the ONGC, BPCL, okay, IOCL, all these companies which are selling petroleum. Some of them are in government, some of them are in private sector. So both of them coexisting. So it's a mixed economy. But today we are post 1991. We are more tilted towards capitalism. Okay, 1991 nantar, post 1991, we are more tilted towards capitalism. Fine. One second. Let me check. Okay. So this is the mixed economy scenario in India. Previously, from 1947 itself, we are a mixed economy, but previously we were more tilted towards socialism. The socialism character was more seen in Indian economy. Today, the capitalist character is more seen in Indian economy. See, we have sold the airlines. The government today does not own any airlines. Okay, so who all are there in the airlines? It's all private players. Fine. So even if you look at the road transport, okay, you have the government buses, but along with that, you have many private players which are following the same route as the government buses. Telephone, yes, you do have BSNL, MTNL, but apart from that, most of the subscription is taken by Reliance, VI, Airtel. Okay, so today we are seeing more of capitalists. Today, more and more private players are coming forward and they are churning the economy. What happened in 1991? ये हम बाद में करेंगे. So mixed economy, socialist and capitalist, public and private both coexist. Public sector is mostly seen in social service. So where do you see public sector? Mostly in providing education. Okay, mostly in health sector. Okay, provide health facilities to the poor people. So in social sector, you will find more of the government, whereas in production, all other production now it is the private player. Okay. Fine. Then dual economy. Dual economy. Kindly understand the difference between dual economy and mixed economy. Mixed economy, public and private both coexist. Dual economy, okay, you have traditional as well as modern means of production, that is known as a dual economy. Okay, both the types of production is seen. So it is basically a characteristic of underdeveloped or developing economy that you can see traditional as well as both modern means of production. So what do you see? In agriculture, plowing is done with the help of bullocks. बैलाची जोडी घ्यायची आणि शेत नांगरायचं. Okay, so plowing is done with the help of bullocks. That is a very traditional practice. But in the same agriculture field, today we see that modern means of production are used to produce cheese, to produce those tomato ketchup, okay, to pack them in an airtight container. Okay, so traditional as well as modern means of production seen in economy is dual economy. Kindly differentiate, see to it that you know the meaning, differentiate the concept between mixed economy and dual economy. Exam में confusion होने वाला है. Okay, in exam it will be a big confusion. Okay, see, again I am telling you, wherever it's a concept, be very thorough with the concept, and then you are going to mug up the data. Economy is very easy. So first try to grasp the concepts. Okay, then according to business, sectors of the economy according to business. Okay, so next basic concept is, because I will be using these words every now and then, capitalist, socialist, primary sector, secondary sector, so it's better to understand these concepts beforehand itself. Okay, so according to business, what are different types of sectors? First is the primary sector. First is the primary sector. Primary sector is one which is based on nature. Okay, it is based on nature. So whatever you get from nature, that falls in primary sector. So what do you get from nature? Food crops, agriculture, horticulture, everything. Forest produce, fisheries, Okay, all these things you get from nature. So agriculture, animal husbandry, mining, this is all primary sector. What do you have in secondary sector? Whenever you apply technology on what you get in from primary sector and you produce something, that is the secondary sector. So from primary sector, you are going to get cotton, agriculture produce. You apply technology and you manufacture garments. That becomes a secondary manufacturing sector. So secondary sector is mostly manufacturing. Okay, electricity production, construction, water supply. Okay, this falls in the secondary sector. Fine. Next, you have the tertiary sector. Primary sector as well as secondary sector, whether it's agriculture or whether it's a textile industry. Okay, both of them are going to need banking services. Both of them are going to need telecommunication services. So these services, okay, transport services, both of them will require transport to carry the goods from one place to another. So this sector, which is going to provide service to the primary and secondary sector, that is the tertiary sector, it is also known as the service sector. Today, service sector is the prime, the foremost sector which is delivering the economy. Okay, more than 50% of the contribution to the Indian economy is via the service sector, that is a tertiary sector. Okay, service industry has increased like anything. So tertiary sector, service, administration, transport, etc. Then next you have the quaternary and the quinary sector. Now these two sectors, please understand. Okay, quaternary and the quinary sector. What do you mean by quaternary and what do you mean by quinary sector? Okay, these are the latest development. Whatever research and development you have, R&D, the intellectual processes you have, okay, that falls in the quaternary sector. So based on high intellect and high level of knowledge, example IT, R&D, okay, that is going to be the quaternary sector. Fine. So you prepare some software which is going to automate certain things. That is quaternary sector. Next you have the quinary sector. This is the highest decision making sector, quinary sector. Highest decision making sector. What do you have over here? See, understand one thing, I'll give you an example. Aadhaar card, everybody might be having the Aadhaar card, but the decision as to how to go ahead with the Aadhaar card, how to collect the data, okay, fine, how to go ahead with the biometrics for the Aadhaar card, okay, that decision, the government just wanted a unique identification number. So how to go ahead with that identification number? So for that, government used to had its own think tank. It also roped in some private players like Mr. Nandan Nilekani from Infosys, okay, and they all decided, okay, fine, this is how the Aadhaar card should be. Now that highest decision making level is known as the quinary sector. So today you need to have this highest decision making sector. Why you need it is because, see, now it's all artificial intelligence. Okay, technology has just penetrated each and every aspect of our individual lives. Okay, so without technology we cannot sustain ourselves today. Technology is that important. But there are certain misuses of technology. Okay, our data, whether it has to be safe, whether it is safe or unsafe, that has to be decided. There has to be a decision making authority which is going to govern everything. Okay, so that highest decision making level, that okay, how is Google going to go ahead with my data? Google might be having my data, your data, everybody's data. How does Facebook go ahead with the data? Okay, how do social media platforms like Insta and all those things, they go ahead with my data? Okay, so for that, there has to be a decision making level, which is the highest decision making level, which will include the governments, okay, the universities, the corporates, the private sector, everybody, okay, and that level is known as quinary sector. We had COVID. So in COVID, we had to go ahead with the decision. What should be the vaccine? How should be the vaccine? Which vaccine should be introduced? So this decision was taken by everybody, the WHO, the government, the private sector, Serum Institute of India, the private sector, everybody were involved in going ahead with the decision. So that becomes a quinary sector. Okay, so have you understood this? Quaternary and quinary. Okay, primary, secondary and tertiary, these are the basic primary sector, these are the basic three sectors which will define your GDP. Okay, the national income, but you also have the quaternary and quinary sector, the decision, okay, or whatever happens in the quaternary and quinary sector, definitely it affects the rest of the three industries. Fine. So these are the different sectors based on business, according to business. Okay, now we'll be doing this in detail, but just an example, the primary sector today, it contributes 18.3% of the national income, the GDP of the country. Primary sector today. Out of this, agriculture itself contributes 17%. Secondary sector, the contribution of manufacturing sector is, secondary sector is 25.3%, and today the tertiary sector contributes the most, that is 56.4% of the GDP. Now this is a factual data. This is a factual data. Okay, once you have understood this concept, what is a primary sector, what is a secondary sector, okay, once you have understood this concept, okay, then it's easy to mug up and understand this part. Okay, so primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector, you know what it is, then you go ahead with the data. Okay, what is the contribution of primary sector, what is the contribution of secondary sector, and what is the contribution of tertiary sector? Ha data tumhala yeto, questions based on this data you will be getting it. So you mug up this thing. Okay, again, economy is easy, only two aspects: understand the concept, mug up the data. That's all you will be requiring for your exams. Understand the concept and mug up the data. Fine. Now continuing, okay, see, this is again data. Year on year growth rates. So what is the value added by the primary sector? What is the growth? Okay, every year the national income is increasing. But what is the value addition of primary sector? It increased by 5.9% in 2022-23, 2.7%. So it fell over here. Then again, the percentage growth of primary sector was 24-25, and the percentage growth of primary sector in 25-26 is estimated as 2.7. Same thing for secondary sector. Look at the way the secondary sector is growing. Okay, the growth rate of secondary sector, percentage growth rate of secondary sector is huge. Okay, also the tertiary sector, the growth rate is huge. Okay, it is in the tune of 9, 10, 11%. Okay, fine. Look at the primary sector. The growth rate of primary sector, since it's dependent on nature, okay, the growth rate is around 4 to 5%. So primary sector is growing just at 4 to 5%. Apna agriculture jo hai, animal husbandry, but manufacturing, tertiary sector, it's growing like anything. Today in tertiary sector, service sector, okay, there are many services which we use, okay, many services, fine. So that service sector is increasing like anything. The percentage is high. Okay, so this is the difference in the growth rates of the three sectors: primary, secondary and tertiary. Okay, then sectors of the economy according to ownership. Okay, according to ownership, what are different sectors? One is the public sector. Public sector means owned by the government. Okay, second is the private sector. It means owned by the private persons. Okay, so this academy is owned by the private person, so it's a private sector. Then cooperative sector, this is a special kind of private sector. Cooperative sector, this is a very, very special kind of private sector. So what happens in cooperative sector? Many people come together and they own an entity. Okay, many people come together and they own an entity. So that is a private sector. That is a private sector. It is a private sector, but it is a special type of private sector wherein each person will get one vote. Okay, so suppose there are 15 persons who have started an industry. Each person will get one vote irrespective of how much money that person has brought in. Fine. So this is a special type of private sector because these 15 persons are private people. Okay, but they are going to run the business on cooperative basis. Therefore, it is known as cooperative sector. And the third is joint sector. Joint sector is equal to private plus public. Okay, private entity plus public government entity both coming together, that's a joint sector. A basic example, Maruti Suzuki. Okay, Maruti part of that company is government owned. and Suzuki is a Japanese company. So a Japanese private company and Indian government come together to establish the plant known as Maruti Suzuki. Fine. So according to ownership, these are the sectors of the economy, and according to business, these are the sectors of the economy: primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary, and quinary. Okay, fine.